What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing another small modification to my 2019 Brute Force 750 right behind me. Now what we're going to be installing today is a high intensity LED 30-inch light bar from Nilight, which this is their Pro Series, which the Pro Series line is supposed to have better technology in the LED lights themselves, which are supposed to give you brighter, longer distance viewing, and that's what we're going to be checking out today. Now, I got this light bar to put on my ATV because a lot of times when we're riding at night, the headlights, even with the high beams on the factory headlights, are just not cutting it. They're not bright enough to really see through the trails when you're riding at night. So that's why we're going to be adding this 30-inch light bar. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at what we're going to be installing. Okay, so as you can see here, this is my 2019 Brute Force 750. Now, I don't really have a specific place I'm going to mount this light bar just yet. I have two different options. I could pretty much just strap it to the front of the cage here just with some zip ties, or I do have a set of gun racks that can mount to the cage rack here, and I could just put the LED light bar in the gun rack and strap them in that way. Either way is going to work. I probably will test a few different positions to see which one I like best. As you can see here, the only lights this ATV has in the front are the factory headlights with low beams and high beams, which are just not bright enough for nighttime viewing. Now, I do plan on getting some higher intensity LED headlights someday, but even with that, I still think I really need a light bar to really help illuminate the path in front of me for safer riding at night. So let's take a look at the new light bar that we're going to be installing. Okay, so what we have here is a new 30-inch LED light bar, and this is a high-quality light bar, and this is actually from a company called Nilight, and this is part of their Pro Series, which typically is going to give you higher quality LED light technology, which is going to help you achieve brighter lights that are going to throw off illumination at a much longer, wider distance. So that's what this Pro Series light bar is all about. Now, these light bars typically are just going to get hardwired into your lighting system, or you could purchase separately a wire harness that already comes with a switch, which makes mounting much easier, which is what I went with today. So we're going to go ahead and get this installed on my ATV over here because I need some brighter lighting when I'm riding at night. And that's what I'm going to achieve with this new Nilight Pro Series 30-inch LED light bar. Okay, so let's go ahead and unbox this LED light bar and take a closer look at how nice it really is. Okay, so upon opening the box, you'll see that it is nicely packaged. So it's gonna really protect your LED light bar during shipping. Over here, you're gonna have a bag of hardware options for mounting this with bolts to your vehicle. You have some nice foam padding here. You have some installation warranty information here as well. We'll set that aside. Take this out, and that's pretty much about it for the light bar. Okay, so as you can see here, you have a really nice bright LED light bar, and it does have the plastic on the front. I'm just going to leave that on for now. So again, you have plenty of high intensity bright LEDs, and this is a 30-inch light bar here. Now, as you can see in the mounting instructions, it does come with a whole bag of hardware. It tells you all about the hardware layout. It does give you multiple different mounting options. Now, again, if you're not going to mount it using the hardware, you can also mount it other ways, which is what I might end up doing on my ATV. I might end up just zip tying it to my cage here, or I might actually put my gun racks on and mount the LED light bar in the gun rack to keep it elevated up a little bit higher for a little bit of a wider field of view in front of me when I'm riding at night. But we'll go over a couple different options when we get to that point. But as far as the light goes, this is pretty much it right here. It's very simple, very easy. This particular wiring harness is sold separately, but this is a really nice, convenient kit. Because as you can see here on the back of the actual light bar, it's just a power and ground to hardwire it in to possibly maybe a switch you already have wired up. But if you don't have anything already wired up to start, this wiring kit would be a great option because it already comes with everything you need. It comes with multiple fuses and different connectors. It already has everything separated for your power and ground and hooking it up to your actual light bar. And it already has a switch, okay, for our LED light switch here, okay, that lights up and illuminates at night. And it already has your relay already wired in right here. So again, this particular wire harness really makes wiring up these light bars very convenient and easy. So it's very simple. We're just going to tie in our power and ground to the ATV, most likely the battery. And you already have your wiring connectors already mounted on here. So once you mount a couple connectors to the tips of your actual LED light bar, then all you got to do is plug that into these plugs and you'll be good to go. So again, this should be a very simple, easy modification to any vehicle, whether it's going to be your ATV or your truck or your Jeep or whatever the case is. But on my ATV, all I have to do is I'm just going to loosen up my rack, pull it out of the way, take the seat off, get access to my battery, and we're going to try hooking this up. So let me go ahead and remove the rack or take the seat off, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we went ahead and we got the back rack off and the seat, and I basically just went in here with a little bit of a paper towel to clean up a couple things, because you always want to remember, for general maintenance, you should take your seat off every once in a while and just clean up this area, because even though the seat is on there to cover all of this, you still get a lot of mud and water and debris up under your seat that gets in here. So you should definitely make sure you clean that up, because the last thing you want is a bunch of mud and gunk getting all over your electrical components, causing any issues. So I went just in here with a quick paper towel, wiped off a few wet, muddy spots, and cleaned it up a little bit. So now that we actually took our cover off for our battery, which is in the back, it's pretty much two little bolts here and then one bolt under the back, in the back there, and then the cover pops right off. Now I have access to the battery. All I'm gonna do is hook up the ground and the power from the harness of the light bar, and then run that cable up through here, probably zip tie it up under the engine bay and pull it up under the front somewhere, somehow. So I'm gonna be working on that next, but that is as simple as it gets. All you need to do is hook up your power wire to a positive terminal and then ground your negative. You can ground it to the battery or ground it to the chassis somewhere. Either way works fine. And then run your cable to wherever you're going to be putting the light bar, mount the light bar, mount your switch wherever you want to switch, and you're done. So let me go ahead and start running this wire and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. So what I did was I just pretty much unraveled the wiring harness, and everything's pretty much plug and play. So coming off the wiring harness, you're gonna have a fuse and you're gonna have your power and ground. And then that goes right to the relay, which is already hooked up for you. Out of the relay is gonna come two different harnesses. One harness goes to your switch, which is already wired up for you, so nothing to do there. And then coming off the other harness is gonna be pretty much two sets of wires here that you can choose from, which one set is gonna be a little shorter like this. And then at the very end of that same harness, you're gonna have another set of these. So technically you can actually hook up two different light bars to this one harness. So that's pretty cool there. So being that it is already set up to hook up additional LED lights, that comes in very handy. Maybe you're gonna be mounting this to your truck or Jeep, and you're gonna be mounting the light bar, and then you want some side LED pods. You could probably hook those up to the same harness because it has multiple mounting points. So that is a really, really nice harness. I'm really happy with that. So all I need to do now is add these connectors here to the ends right here. All you gotta do is crimp them down and tape them up, and then we're gonna start running our wire. So let me finish that up and we are going to be right back. Okay, so I just opened up the hardware bag, and obviously there are multiple parts here, but you don't have to use them all. It just depends on how you're gonna mount this light bar. So these particular brackets here are gonna mount over here on the side like that. And then there's a bolt that bolts in, and then these brackets swivel 360 degrees depending on how you're gonna mount them, whether you're mounting them like this or mounting them to the back or hanging it upside down to mount it straight up like that. So that's what these brackets are for. But if you don't wanna use those, you have these brackets here that actually will mount, like kind of, they'll grab on to the fins here and mount to the back and bolt on, and then you can bolt them on the bottom, whether you want to bolt them up or to the back or to the bottom. So there are multiple mounting positions that you can use with this mounting kit. So just so you know, when you open up this bag, you're not going to be using all of these parts. They're just giving you options of different mounting positions. Okay, so we are back. Okay, so just to go over a few features on this particular light bar that I wanted you to be aware of. So number one, this is an all aluminum housing, so you don't have to worry about it rusting or getting ruined if kept outside. So this makes a great light bar to put on your ATV or your trucks or your Jeeps or whatever the case is. You don't have to worry about it getting ruined outside. It is also IP68 waterproof rated, so it will withstand the weather from rain, snow, dust, dirt, debris, and so forth. Now, if you take a closer look at the lights, but as you can see here, the ends, these 3 bulbs here on both sides are a little different. That's because there's a 10% spotlight in the middle that's going to project the high intensity light straight forward. And then there's a 90% floodlight on either side that's going to really help get that light out to the sides to give you a total wide, high brightness view of the path in front of you. So that's a really nice feature there. Furthermore, this also has what's called EMI RFI protection. And this is a special technology that's built into the actual chips. And what this does is, depending on where you're mounting this light bar, now I don't really per se have to worry about it on my ATV, but for some of you out there, if you're mounting this light bar on your Jeep or your truck, or maybe your ATV or UTV, where you have like CB radios and all this other technology going on with that vehicle, the EMI and RFI protection on this particular light bar will help stop some of that interference, because sometimes a lot of that other technology can cause lights to flicker and dim a little bit. That won't happen with this particular light bar. This light bar is designed to help protect against that type of interference, which is always a good feature, especially when you're going to be adding multiple light bars. So I went ahead and I hooked back up my gun racks here on my ATV. As you can see, they're just kind of mounted here to the bar, all right? And then what I did was I just angled them back just a hair so I could slide this light bar up underneath and keep it across the top plate here, keeping it nice and flat. And then I angled them back forward so that the bottom of this gun rack holds it in place. And then I just went ahead and added a couple zip ties going around the actual gun rack and the light bar, and then bolted everything down nice and tight. Now again, you could always take your light bar and put it in your gun rack and mount it up there if you wanted a little bit higher, elevated off, which is what I was thinking about doing in the first place. But it actually worked out better tucking it up under the gun rack, so it's between the metal frame and the gun rack itself. And then when you actually tilt the gun rack forward, the bottom kind of presses down on the top of the light bar, holding it to the ATV. I bolted everything down nice and tight, added a couple zip ties, and this thing is very, very sturdy. So then what I did on the back, I just tied my ground wire to the negative of my battery and my red positive wire to the positive of the battery, and put my fuse in just like that. So there's the fuse right there. And then I just have my wire here for my switch. And then I have the main harness running up under the center here, popping up underneath the dash, coming out here and attached to the light. Now these waterproof fittings here work out great. Now I'll go back through and electrical tape all this and then add some additional wire loom when I'm done. But they're very simple to work with. And then I'll just figure out where I'm gonna mount this switch, which I could always just cut a hole over here in the side. Either way, there is multiple places you can mount this switch. But so far, it's pretty good. Everything's hooked up. Now, again, these 2 additional wires here that are not plugged in, you don't need them. They're just kind of out of the way right now. But as you can see, let's go ahead and hit our switch. Look at the wall. There we go. So let's turn that on for a second here and come over here. I mean, that thing is nice and bright. What I'm going to do next, zip tie everything up, tape it all up, wire loom everything, get all the wires out of the way, clean everything up real good, put the seat back on, and then later tonight we're going to go for a ride in the woods in the dark and see how well this Nilight Pro LED light bar works at night. Okay, so I went ahead and I got everything zip tied underneath the seat and tucked out of the way. I got everything wire loomed and zip tied to the side. I have the wire coming around here just zip tied for now. And then I added a little bit of wire loom where the fittings were, where the bare wire was showing, and used some electrical tape to tighten that up. And then I have it just tucked over here for now, down underneath. So again, this is just temporary because I'm trying a couple different mounting situations out to see how I like it. But so far, this actually works really good. It's nice and sturdy on the ATV. It's not going anywhere. It pretty much lines up with the rack and looks like it actually fits this particular rack. So the 30 inches did work out great for fitting right up here. And then underneath the seat running up over here, up through behind the dash, I actually just zip tied on the switch here for now. So again, I don't know where I'm gonna put that switch just yet. I might actually cut a hole and mount it a little bit more professionally, but for now I zip tied it up to the handlebars. It's not going anywhere. It's nice and sturdy, and it's real easy access to where my hand controls are. I could just lean over, flip it, turn it on, flip it, turn it off. It's good to go. So there you go. Everything's out of the way. The light bar is on. We're going to go for a ride later tonight when it gets dark out, and we're going to test it out. But so far, this Nilight Pro Series 30-inch LED light bar seems really good quality. The mounting brackets seem really good. I really do recommend that wiring kit because that was super easy to hook up. So if you don't want to mess around with dealing with relays and on-off switches and things like that, just go ahead and save yourself some time and headache and buy the wire harness kit because it's super easy to hook up. But again, everything's ready to go, so we'll be back later tonight to see how it looks. Okay, so it's dark outside. I'm gonna go ahead and get my camera mounted on the ATV, and we're gonna go up in the woods, and we're gonna see how this new 30-inch LED light bar does in the dark. Okay, so as you can see, these are my standard headlights on a low beam setting. Now let me test out the high beam setting. Okay, so there is your high beam. Now, let's go ahead and turn those off, and we're gonna turn on the new 30-inch light bar. There's no lights at all. Now look at that. That is awesome. That is just amazing how bright this little 30-inch light bar really is. It lights up the entire path very well. Let's shut it off and show you one more time. That's normal headlights. That's high beam headlights. That's the light bar. So far, my initial impressions of the Nilight Pro Series 30-inch LED light bar, it's doing a fantastic job. It lights up the path very well. It gives you a nice, bright, wide field of view. And I'm very happy with this light bar. And I'm glad I got it for the ATV. And it's gonna make driving at night not just more enjoyable, but actually safer because you can see better. So we're gonna go ahead and test this one more time. There's no lights at all. That's the regular headlights. That's my high beam headlights. Now, the 30-inch Nilight Pro LED light bar. Okay, so there you go. We just got back, and as I just showed you, the new Nilight Pro Series 30-inch LED light bar did an amazing job. It was extremely bright, It lighted up the path in the dark very well. I had a nice wide field of view. Again, as you can see, comparing it to the standard headlights, whether it be low beams or high beams, this light bar made a huge, significant difference. So again, my impressions of the Nilight Pro Series 30-inch LED light bar, definitely give it a thumbs up. I give it a go. So that's it for today's video. I hope it helps some of you out. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like this video. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And also do me a favor, subscribe to the channel because it definitely helps me out and I greatly appreciate it. So that's it for today's video. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I truly appreciate you all. Thank you. And as always, see you in the next video.